super thanks button to donate what you believe is the equivalent of.
All right, my goat, one dime, which is with another great video. You should do a video such as this one analyzing democracy, but for European social democracies such as Sweden and Germany, for example. I often hear social democrats say that these European social democracies should be the desirable end goal, but as I'm sure you know, they have their own issues, some of which are unique to them, but many of them, their problem also stem from the capitalist system undermining their democracies. Yeah. So, oh, dude, what the fuck? The New Hampshire exit polls are already coming out? Jesus Christ. Do you think Joe Biden legitimately won the 2020 election? Yes, 49%. No, 49%. That's awesome. Are you a part of the MAGA movement? Yes, 32%. No, 64%. That is so sick because that means that like almost half of the New Hampshire primary voters do not consider themselves to be a part of the MAGA movement and yet still maintain the position that Joe Biden did not legitimately win the election. That's so awesome. God, I love how fucking insane people are. 53% of the New Hampshire primary are not Republicans. Yes, the largest voting bloc in New Hampshire, as I've talked about before, are independents. That is right. Okay? I hope you understand. This is why I've said time and time again, New Hampshire is the Arizona of the Northeast. Okay? New Hampshire is the most libertarian state in the Northeast. Not Vermont, it's New Hampshire. They are psychos. It's awesome. Oh, it's so good. Oh my God. I don't know. I wonder how well RFK Jr. is going to perform there. That is where I'm at. That's where my mentality is, okay? I'm on RFK Jr. watch. None of this other shit.
What you're looking at, what we've been able to gain access to, is the final step in the process for voters. After they've gotten their ballot, after they've gone behind the privacy screens to make their choices. This black box, this is the ballot box. This is where the voters, this is their final step. They insert it into the box, and then that is that. The latest count that I've been able to get is there have been 1,987 votes cast. For some context, Jake, here in Ward 3, there are just under 5,000 registered voters. There's still time to go. It's been very busy the last, I would say, 30, 40 minutes here, as obviously people are getting off work and they're coming in to cast their ballots. So this is a well-oiled machine here. They are coming through quickly. At 8 o'clock, what's going to happen is Jed, the ward moderator, he's going to be able to hit that tabulating button, and that is when you're going to get the totals, the unofficial and incomplete totals, but the first read on where this ward is going to be going. After that, then they have to go through the process of going through and sifting through all of the ballots that require hand counting. That could be write-ins, as we know people are concerned about needing to do going through a lot of write-in ballots because of Joe Biden, but that part of the process will then take some more time. Come with me, though, because after this, the voters come out here, they leave, and we have a voter with us right here. Carmane's going to come here. Justin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Who'd you vote for today?
I voted for Nikki Haley today.
And you were undeclared?
Yes.
Why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
Because I think that Donald Trump is more of an existential threat than the Republican Party at large. So I voted for Nikki as a vote against Trump.
Wrong. Dumbass liberals also portray this narrative as though it's true. Wrong. There's no such thing as a moderate Republican. All the moderate Republicans are voting Democrat. Wrong. All Republicans are going to be fucking nutty with it. Doesn't matter. Wrong. I hate this fucking narrative. I hate this narrative that like, oh yeah, I'm doing this to save democracy by voting for the reasonable Republican. It's like, no, dog. If you want the shit to just eviscerate, if you want the shit to implode, yeah, keep voting Republican. Don't matter which Republican you're voting for. Fuck it. Vote for the Democrats and then don't even try to hold them to account either. You know what I'm saying? Just let it ride, baby. Watch this shit implode, okay? It's gonna happen. It's already happening. It don't matter.
Legitimately won the 2020 election, which he did. It's split half and half. 49% say yes. 49% of primary voters today say no. Again, in Iowa last week, 2/3 of Republican caucus goers said Biden did not legitimately win, though he did. Big difference in the electorate. Is Donald Trump fit for the presidency, even if he's convicted of a crime? Today in New Hampshire, Republican primary voters, half of them say yes.
That's almost 50-50.
Even if he's a convicted criminal.
That's sick.
No, 47% of voters today say
That's
no.
sick.
Again, big difference from the 2/3 who said yes in Iowa last week. And then we asked overall, no matter who you're supporting tonight, will you be satisfied or dissatisfied if Donald Trump wins the nomination? 56% of Republican primary voters tonight in New Hampshire, no matter who they support, say they will be satisfied if Trump's the nominee. But this number here, 43% will be dissatisfied. That shows the work ahead for Donald Trump if he becomes the nominee, that he will have to do some healing within the party, Jake.
Very interesting, David Chalian. Thank you so much. And I suppose it is a sign of the times, Aaron Burnett, that it is good news that only half of the Republican electorate believes the lie about the 2020 election, and the other half is actually reality.
That's cool. He's like, what a dub.
Right? You look at it and say, oh, does that put a ceiling for Trump
us
tonight? And then you take a step back and say, wow, half of a population that includes undeclared voters thinks that the election was stolen. Glass half full or glass half empty. You know, as you look at what is happening right now, though, Jake, these exit poll numbers that we have, Caitlin, from your sources in Trump world, how do they see these numbers so far? Specifically, some of those things that David was just saying that, at least on the face of it, don't look great for him right now.
I mean, I think the most remarkable was that 50% said that they still think he's fit for office, even if he's a convicted felon. And 47% only said no. I mean, when you look at what Republicans are saying, a lot of people who have been voting for Nikki Haley, just anecdotally speaking, have said it's a vote against Donald Trump. But a lot of Republicans, even those who are her biggest surrogates, have said they'll still vote for Trump, even if he is a convicted felon, including the governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu. But I think what the Trump team is
including
hoping...
Nikki Haley.
Including Nikki Haley. She put her hand up. Yeah.
It's very, very few Republicans who say that they're backing someone else that say they still wouldn't ultimately vote for him over Joe Biden. But the Trump campaign is walking into this tonight. They want to end the 2024 primary race. Right. Trump said earlier he doesn't care if Nikki Haley drops out or not, depending on how tonight goes. His political advisors very much do, because they understand that if she gets out of the race tonight, then it turns to the general election and they can start focusing their attention, but also their dollars and their resources on that general election. And that is something that they're eager to do and not instead have this drag out for 3 more weeks. Now, that's walking into this with an air of confidence after Iowa last week. We don't know yet what the voters are going to decide, so they're obviously having to watch that as well.
And look, this is an electorate here that is probably as favorable as it's going to get for Nikki Haley. It's more moderate. New Hampshire is a state that likes to kind of countervail the conventional wisdom. However, as we look at these exit poll numbers, as Caitlin pointed out, those last...
I feel like everyone's been mentally neutered and we're all just floating to the end. 100%. Nobody cares. Like, I mean, I can't wait to see what, like, the numbers look like for this primary. I suspect that it's not good, okay? We are literally floating our carcasses are floating over to the other side of the pool at this point. We're all dead. We're in the pool. We're just we're not swimming over there. We're just kind of trailing along with the flow. The liberalism will continue until morale improves. Morale is not improving. It will never improve. We are cooked. Hey, good afternoon. Who's your favorite VTuber? Iron Mouse. I was about to say I don't have a favorite VTuber, but you know what? Iron Mouse. We have to constantly remind ourselves that the only people paying attention to politics right now are absolute freaks. No, at this stage, when the primaries start, there's supposed to be at least more freaks that are interested in politics. Like, this is not the midterms. This is the primaries. You know? We're supposed to, this is not the midterms, primaries for the midterms. This is like the actual primaries for the general election. It is officially started. And the thing is, I mean, I look at my own level of interest and fascination. I look at my own personal fascination with what's going on. And I'll be honest, I'm not that interested in this shit either. I think it's all like fucking boring. Not sure if you talked about this, but how do you feel about the New Hampshire DNC delegate situation? What is it? Does this change if Biden has a low taper fade? Dude, it would change dramatically. Couple things that could change alter the course of this this primary season and the election cycle. One, Biden gets a low taper fade. Okay. Two, Kamala Harris comes out as being a part of a polycule, and that Doug Emhoff is actually gay. Right. That could like restore some interest, I think. Either of the candidates dies, like Trump or Biden dies. Oh my God. That will definitely restore a lot of interest in the election because all of a sudden things are very confusing, right? So you got that. Yeah, beyond that, I feel like there's not much else going on. Careful, it's unalived. Yeah, I will not say that. Number 3, Joe Biden OnlyFans. Okay, I am a truther for the Joe. I don't even think those things are going to be valid, though. Honestly. Do you feel like the stakes for this election seem lower because there's no illusion that Biden will be significantly better than Trump? Oh, Maya said, I am for real finding out about this from your alt Twitter right now. Yeah, I never told Maya that I was planning on. I didn't tell Maya that I would come. I forgot. I didn't even tell Cutie that I was going to go either. I'll text her now. Most communicative Hasanabi moment? Yeah. Bro, it's a 21-hour drive. You got to fly. I'm not going to fucking drive there, dude. I was just trying to figure out if I could bring Kaya with me or not. Anyway. Getting that mid-30s late response takes habit already. Brother, I've had that habit for the past 10 years. You gonna go on Lex Fridman? Probably not. First wave of New Hampshire exit polls show 53% non-Republican electorate, 45 ideas independents, 8% as Dems. Non-GOP share in 2016 was 45%. First wave also shows 37% of GOP primary voters consider themselves moderate or liberal. In 2016, that was 29%. Again, this is the first wave of the exit poll. More to come, and numbers can and often do change. It's a wrap for Joe Brandon if Trump takes Haley for VP. I think so, but he doesn't seem to be interested in that at all, I think. Did you see the Ben Shapiro versus D debate on Lex Fridman? No, I watched a little bit of it this morning when I was getting ready. And no, I want to watch it. I want to watch it on stream. I said I'm going to watch it on stream. Obligatory meme before you react. That's funny. That's a good one. Actually, this is quite ableist, okay? Just because they're both manless doesn't mean you can make fun of their height like that. You are quite privileged for being a tall. I'm going to write a Reddit essay now. Bro, 2.5 hours. Ain't no way you're getting through it today. No, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. That would be insane. Hasan hates his short chatters. This is literally not true. I am a defender of short kings. Oh my God. Wait. I saw those guys making fun of Ron DeSantis. I didn't realize that the dudes making fun of Ron DeSantis also got a laugh out of Ron DeSantis' wife.
Real quick, before we get started, thank you, everyone. Governor DeSantis, I want to present to you this participation trophy. Now, probably not going to win the election, right? But we're proud of you for trying. There you go. No, I mean, he's special, he's unique, and he's...
Oh my God. His wife is all over that shit. Bro, that's crazy. It's Jover. It's never been more Jover ever in the history of being Jover. This is like... Oh my God, this is so bad. This is like cuck porn.
Our little snowflake. Thank you. Here you go. Do you want the award?
What? Nothing's going to stop us.
Real quick, before we get started, thank you, everyone. Governor DeSantis, I want to present to you this participation trophy.
She goes, ha ha ha ha! That's crazy. Oh no. That is, that's bad, bro. That is bad. That's not good.
That's the
bad.
machine that counts and tabulates the ballots. And when these voters are done feeding their ballots into the machine, I can give you a live look at how many voters have cast a ballot. All right, that voter's going to put their ballot in. And Stuart, why don't you come over here? Let's shoot this number right here. If you can push in right there, as of 6:21 p.m., 2,736 voters have cast ballots in Manchester Ward 6. 2,700. The record here is 3,700. Now, what isn't known is how many are Democratic ballots, how many are Republican ballots. More than 2,100 will be a record for Republicans. I've been told there are a lot of write-in ballots. You want to know how many? I was told by the moderator here. That many. A visual demonstration of a stack of ballots that high for write-ins here. Now, once voters vote, they come outside of the hallway, and we are allowed to talk to them.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. There's a voter right here. What's your name?
Judy.
Judy. You cast your ballot in the First in the Nation primary. Who'd you vote for?
I voted for President Trump
You voted for Donald Trump. Why?
because we had 4 amazing years. We had no wars. No wars for 4 years. We had...
We had no wars.
We had safe borders. We were taking care of our veterans.
She's right. We had no
wars. Are you
wars.
an undeclared voter or a registered Republican?
I'm a registered Republican.
Who'd you vote for 8 years ago if you were here in 2016? Do you remember?
I voted for Trump.
You're a hardcore Donald Trump voter turning out here in Manchester Ward 6. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Now, Donald Trump in 2016, when this was a competitive primary, he won this ward by about 20 points.
Bro,
so,
Americans love thinking that we're like above this North Korea shit. Like we always talk about like, oh, in China, they hide the truth from you. And then you like point to the median voter and they're like, what do you mean? There's no wars. America's not been in a war until Joe Brandon came around. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, you're insane. Okay. You're insane. You are so fucking stupid. You are the dumbest person on the planet. Hello. You have in the United States of America, you have access to the internet. You have access to an unimaginably, just a fucking steady flow of information. Okay. That's so crazy. There's not been a moment where America's not in war. I think it's like, what, 17 years in its history where America wasn't directly in war? What are we talking about? That's awesome.
Familiar with Manchester, you come southern part of the city, you see the New Hampshire Mall, off you go into more leafy, beautiful Bedford. Now, why are they worried about that, right? I just want to go back in time. Number one, 12th most populous township in the state, so a decent amount of people there. Number one. Number two, though, if you go back to 2016, the Republican primary, Trump won it. But he only got 28% of the vote if you round that up there. And remember, in 2016, Donald Trump won the suburbs, often in the primaries, including in New Hampshire, and then narrowly against Hillary Clinton in the general election. It has been since then. 2018, 2020, 2022, we saw the suburbs revolt against Donald Trump. Now, these are Republicans.
Wait, okay, but I'm going to fucking stop John King here for a second, because there's something very funny about being a Republican voter who says, like, Democrats are the party of war. I'm voting for Trump because he's anti-war. Now, it's funny because, one, it's obviously not true. Both parties do love war. That's kind of what, keeps the gears turning here in the United States of America. But also, like, you're Republican. Like, you love war. What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. Because, like, you're simultaneously yelling at Joe Biden for pulling out of Afghanistan. You're like, yeah, that's right. No war under Trump. Except, I guess, the one that Biden pulled out of, which was bad. And I want that to continue. But also, I hate war, and that's why I'm voting for Donald Trump. When there was no war under Donald Trump. Except for the one that Biden pulled out of after Donald Trump, which was bad. And I want that to continue, the war there. But it's not a war. Also, we have to invade Mexico. It's like, what are you saying? What do you mean? I hate war. That's why I'm voting for Donald Trump, because he's going to invade Mexico.
I'm in New Hampshire. Most polling places are set to close at the top of the hour. Stay right here as we track every vote and bring you all the up-to-the-minute results on this momentous night in the 2024 election.
Oh, God. You guys fucking freak out at every top of the hour. It blows my mind. It's not even top of the hour yet, okay? Chill out. Chill out, chatters. I know he said top of the hour. I know. Yeah, we saw the woman in California that got arrested for stealing an entire fucking cart of Stanley Cups. Anyway, let's watch what New Hampshire voters have to say on Fox News about Joe Biden while
New
we
Hampshire
wait.
congressional candidate Matt Mowers. Matt, look, she's off to a perfect start.
Bro, Republicans want to invade Mexico. They want to abolish the Department of Education. And every Republican candidate, I guess with the exception of Trump hasn't really mentioned it, but he would do it if push comes to shove, wants to increase the retirement age again. And it's just like, I don't know what to say. Like, yeah, the Republicans, Democrats are bad. Okay, they're bad. They're not good. I say this every day, but like, Republicans are still worse. Like, there's no moment where I've ever said that the Republicans are the better option. There is no advantage to ever voting for a Republican. It makes no fucking sense. Oh my God. Ay, ay, ay.
She's 6 for 6, but in reality, if she does not outright win tonight, what is the margin that you are looking for where she will say, look, I'm going to continue with this campaign or I'm out?
Well, I don't expect it to be a shutout, unlike in Dixville Notch at midnight. But, look, I think she's got to keep it within 10. If she's able to do that, she's going to show that she was able to build a campaign in states like New Hampshire. Now, there's a lot of things going for her. And honestly, for any candidate that would have emerged as the non-Trump candidate.
It does if you think Democrats are pedophile, transgender, zombie vampires, and you strongly believe Ted Cruz is your salvation. Yeah, that's the other part of the problem is that, like, there is nothing I despise more than when dumbass liberals go, we need a strong Republican Party. The Republican Party needs to return to normalcy. And it's like, I want to David DePepe myself, okay, when I hear shit like that. Because there is no strong Republican Party. The strong Republican Party is insane, okay? They all think you're a transgender pedophile vampire, okay? They think you're a socialist transgender pedophile vampire. Shut the fuck up. Have you talked to, like, the average Republican voter? That lady was a perfect example. She's one of the more liberal sides of the Republican Party, right? New Hampshire. She just said, Donald Trump, there was no war under the Trump administration. It was 4 years of beautiful prosperity. That person has blanked out COVID in its entirety and everything else that has happened under the Trump administration. That person did not benefit from Trump's tax cuts. Okay? That's one of the only important pieces of legislation that the Trump administration pushed for and passed successfully, beyond like the obvious stuff like destroying the federal agencies and the regulatory mechanisms in general. Okay? The idea that that was good for you, that was beneficial for you, is just all vibes based. Okay? It's all entirely vibes based. That's it. There certainly wasn't a migrant caravan trumped up and got the hogs all fired up. You know, there was. There was. You're wrong. There was. Except it was the same energy. It doesn't matter. It's always bullshit. There was a migrant caravan, and Trump said he was going to bomb the migrant caravan. Oh, you were being sarcastic. Okay, I thought you were saying like there's a migrant caravan now under Biden, but there wasn't one under Trump. Like they're only hyper focusing on immigration under Biden and not Trump or something. No, it's like the media is always right wing. I apologize for having a neurodivergence moment there and not understanding your sarcasm. The chat actually understood, which is crazy because I didn't understand it. Anyway. Yeah, migrant caravans only show up every 4 years or every 2 years, really.
You have
media is not right wing. Where did that bullshit come from? Right from my mouth, brother. Straight from the mouth of babes. Okay, what do you mean the media is not right wing? First of all, you think CNN is Clinton News Network. CNN very openly is saying they want to be more right wing. Like they are right wing and they want to be even more right wing. That's number one. Number two. In this country, the Democratic Party is also center-right on a lot of issues, especially issues that pertain to the economy. Okay? Yeah, every now and then they lend support to like trans people. They'll be like, oh, don't do a trans genocide. Fine. Okay? Fair. But everybody that props that up as like the end-all be-all, as like the beacon of progress and prosperity, is a fucking silly little fool. Okay? The idea that the media is not beholden to the interests of capital and that is inherently right-wing is silly. They love war. There's never a war that the media doesn't like, okay, across the board, whether it's New York Times, whether it's CNN, whether it's MSNBC, they love that shit, okay? They mainline it nonstop, okay? They hate any kind of socialism. They hate socialized medicine, right? They hate any kind of socialization implementation of socialization policies for healthcare. They despise it. They're literally backed by big pharma. They're backed by the insurance companies. They run ads on the motherfucking channels nonstop. Then they have their PR people go on without any revelation that they're actually doing PR for the company at that time, or even in the future, or even in the past, sorry. They've done PR for the very same companies that they're objectively defending. The media also pushes the anti-narrative, the anti-immigration narrative, the white nativist immigration, the underlying white nativist attitude towards America's immigration policies, all propped up by the media, talking about how like, oh man, we have to do something about immigration. Joe Biden is not doing enough on immigration. Okay? The media also absolutely played a role in solidifying the narratives that crime is a massive problem in this country, and it was a byproduct of defunding the police. Crime didn't fucking increase in dramatic levels at all. That was a lie, and police never got defunded anywhere. That was also a lie. So tell me how that isn't right-wing media across the board. Are you such a fool that you see one trans person and then like a media person saying, let's not kill this person and correctly gender them, that means all of a sudden, oh, these guys are leftist communists? Is that what you think? I do think that a lot of right-wingers absolutely operate like that. They're like, oh, there's a trans person and they're not bashing that person, so these guys are taken over by socialist communism. Anyway.
A number of independents are going to make up almost half of the electorate, probably about 45 to 47%, according to most polls. So that was be independent or unaffiliated voters. You've got a popular Republican governor in Chris Sununu, who is campaigning almost like her running mate right now. And so if she can do that, if she can show that she can bring it close to Donald Trump here in New Hampshire, she can then look to other states that have open primaries or potentially no party registration states, including South Carolina, her home state, but also then looking to states like Michigan and a whole host of other states.
To be honest, leftists do the same thing with right-wingers, thinking they're all followers of Hitler, when some are followers of Mussolini. Is a good take. Yeah. Come on, there's Franco followers too. It's like, listen, dude, there's followers of all different sauces and varieties, okay? These guys are so crazy. They don't get it.
States that have similar types of voting patterns on Super Tuesday.
In terms of the issues, going all the way back to Iowa.
So the guy that said that the media was a state apparatus, that's kind of dumb. That's absolutely not dumb at all. If you know anything about the media, you would recognize that they work to solidify the. First of all, they work to solidify the narratives that the whichever respective party is pushing for, or more importantly, given that this is a capitalist country, whatever the corporations want, they are pushing for that. Okay, and considering that this is a bourgeois democracy, where both parties, Republicans and Democrats, are beholden to the interests of corporations and the wealthy, okay, they just simply align. It's ostensibly the arm of the government. Just because it's private doesn't change that reality. I'll give you a great example of this. Turkey has TRT, right? TRT. This is the radio television broadcaster in Turkey. This is the state broadcaster of Turkey, right? But beyond that, there's also private media, right? There's private enterprise. There's so many newspapers, so many television channels that are owned and operated independently outside of the boundaries of the state. And yet, they all churn out the exact same propaganda, right? Why do they do that? What? 1010? Why do we say that? Okay, this guy doesn't know what the hell's going on. He doesn't even realize I'm responding to him right now. It doesn't matter. These guys, they can be private enterprise, or they can be privately owned, but it doesn't matter. Ultimately, they are still operating at the behest of the Erdogan regime. It's all owned and operated by wealthy benefactors, wealthy people that also are aligned with Recep Tayyip Erdogan. That's the whole point. The purpose of the media is to look at all of the cruelty that you see around you and contextualize it and reframe it in a way that is like more comfortable as far as a narrative goes, to make you feel like, you know what, things could be much, much worse if there was something way scarier like socialism. That would be so much scarier. So just shut the fuck up and be excited that you don't have that. Okay? İsrail'le ilgili söylediğin şeyler saçmalık, aptal, orospu çocuğu. What's going on? There's a lot of Turks coming in here yelling at me about my takes on Israel. What happened? Did the Turks also, did some of the online Turks turn around and decide that they're Zionists again? Is that what happened? I thought all the constituencies, all the parties in Turkey, regardless of whether they're pro or anti-Erdogan, had realized that like maybe it's not a good idea to be pro-Israel. Anyway.
Last week, exit polls show that immigration was the #1 issue on people's minds. What do you think is going to be driving people to the polls in New Hampshire?
Well, you know, every state is a border state, and actually in the case of New Hampshire, we truly are a border state.
Every state is a border state. Let's go. Yeah, no. But some are more border states than others. Like, you know. I feel like the moment that you go above like 75% white, you're automatically a state that cares about its borders, right? Not with Canada. I just mean in general with like, I just mean Mexico.
State with the Canadian.
New Hampshire borders Canada. Brother, no one, and I mean no one talks about the Canadian border when they're talking about protecting our borders. Come on. By the way, when people talk about the border, they're not even talking about regular border crossers, okay? That's the irony. More than 50%, the majority of undocumented immigrants in this country are visa overstayers. They're not people that are crossing the border on foot, okay, illegally. It's actually visa overstayers that came in, for the most part, through airplanes, okay? They got visas, and they flew into the country legally, and they stayed. They stayed past the date of their visa expiring, okay? That's it. That's a fact. But when people talk about the border, they're not talking about the Canadian border. They're talking about the border with Mexico. And when people talk about the border with Mexico, they're not talking about like people coming in through that border. Like I said, they're talking about brown people. Okay. That's it. That's why nobody gives a shit about the Canadian border in general, because that's a civilized white country and not an uncivilized barbarian brown country. This is the perspective that Americans have.
Canadian border, we've actually seen an uptick in the amount of illegal crossings of the northern border, including a lot of movement of drugs. And so it impacts folks in New Hampshire just as much as many other states across the country. And so I expect it's going to be the border, but also small businesses are the backbone of the New Hampshire economy. And so rising inflation continues to be one of the #1 issues here, alongside concerns about security on the southern border.
Meantime, Democrats, yeah, they're doing something tonight as well. They hope President Biden gets enough write-in votes, but here are some angry.
Yeah, there's also another write-in campaign, of course, Chunk Weigert. Okay. He's also asking for a write-in campaign. You have Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips also looking for write-in campaigns. And then beyond that, there's also the write-in campaign for Ceasefire Now. According to the Democratic Majority for Israel, a right-wing think tank that only cares about progressive candidates in the Democratic Party for some fucking weird reason, this is unconstitutional. They should not be allowed to write Ceasefire Now as a write-in candidate on the New Hampshire primaries. That's what they're pushing for.
New Hampshire voters, listen.
Well, I'm kind of angry.
Oh, sorry, Marianne and Dean are actually on the ballot.
About it. And some people have said, why should we write his name in when he won't even give us the time of day?
We're disappointed this year not to have the Democratic primary, and that's why we're doing this, because it's not meaningless like the DNC says. It really is meaningful.
I think, the Democratic National Committee has said that the Democratic primary here is not relevant or real, and I think that's just nonsense.
Neighbors, these are the people you live with and around. Are there enough betrayed New Hampshire Democrats to somehow give Joe Biden a loss tonight?
I mean, I don't think you're going to have enough to create a loss, but it is going to be a closer than expected scare for Joe Biden. The challenge you have is that every single Democrat elected official, so Jeanne Shaheen, Maggie Hasan, the 2 U.S. senators, as well as the 2 members of Congress, have gone out and...
Oh, yeah. Also, Maggie Hasan is obviously one of the absolute worst. Like, she's a part of the Wrecker coalition in the Democratic Party. She's a part of the rotating villain. If it's not like Bob Menendez, it's Maggie Hasan. If it's not, it's the Joe Manchin. The Joe Manchin coalition. Anyway, let's continue.
Publicly said they're writing in Joe Biden. They're telegraphing that message to grassroots Democratic activists to show a sign of their belief in collectivism and just kind of all falling in line, by the way. The advertising sent out in direct mail pieces on social media by the Write in Biden campaign shows the communist fist on to stand in solidarity with Joe Biden. And that shows the type of collective groupthink that's happening right now in the Democratic Party. With that said, I think Dean Phillips, who's invested $5 million of his own money into this race, who's out there working hard. I've run into him now a couple of times on the campaign trail. Super nice guy, by the way. He's out there. I think he's going to overperform what many folks were expecting. Recent polls show he might even be getting close to a third of the vote, or somewhere in the 20s. If he does that, it's certainly a message to Joe Biden about frustration from Democratic Party activists, and whether that's because of overall dissatisfaction with his administration or potentially because he decided to try to kill off the first of the nation primary here in New Hampshire.
Well, the polls open in T-minus 49 minutes and 51 seconds.
The camera's hiding it a little bit. Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting day in New Hampshire. But who's counting? Matt, thank you so much for joining us, giving us your perspective. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley.
Brian Kilmeade. Have you seen this as a powerful statement? What? Wow, this is a powerful statement. What? Bro, this says 19. Okay. No, we're not going to listen to the drums of liberation right now over interlaced over Palestinian footage. Okay. Here is Biden.
Donald Trump is betting you won't vote on.
Dude, he is campaigning. He's in campaign mode. Finally, they fucking dusted him off, and he's on campaign mode. Now they've remembered abortion again. Okay, we did it. We did it. That's why they got the Defend Choice on here. They got the Biden-Harris placards. Okay, we're back. We're so back.
Issue. But guess what? He's betting we won't hold him responsible either for taking away the rights. He's betting you're going to stop caring.
Don't be that excited at the prospect of women's civil liberties being taken from them because it's going to give you a fucking massive electoral advantage. Jesus Christ.
By the way, that you'll get distracted and discouraged and stay.
By the way, this is the big reason, like I said, that it's not as open and shut. Like a lot of people love saying, you know, it's definite, Trump is going to win. This is a huge issue that I don't think you guys have addressed, okay? Or you have factored in here. How do you make of how broken the Democratic Party is in direction and spirit in comparison to the Republican Trump adjacent power? Republicans fall in line. That's why. All Democrats fall in line too. But Republicans fall in line way harder than the Democrats do, especially because like wedge issues are largely created by the Republicans. By and large, all the wedge issues we fight on, the boundaries that we fight on, are not necessarily divisive issues. Okay? They are, however, issues that the Republicans have created strong positions on. Some of it doesn't work, but they still advocate for it, like the trans stuff, right? Transphobia, anti-trans narratives are a wedge issue that the Republicans have delicately crafted over the course of the past couple of years.
Jen Psaki, we always appreciate your analysis.
And
here
they don't
on
even
NBC
give
News
a
Now.
fuck
We
if it
thank-
doesn't work. Like, even if it delivers an electoral L, they still push for it. Okay? And then there are successful wedge issues that are turning into a legitimate problem for the Republican Party, such as abortion.
I'm going to put this up on the screen. Hopefully my eyes will do me justice here. This is Trump tweeting, so ridiculous that Democratic and independents are allowed to vote in the Republican primary, especially since crooked Joe Biden has a...
Will the pro-choice voters overcome Genocide Joe, though? There are certain parts of this country where obviously Genocide Joe is going to be a more prescient narrative. But in most places in the country, yes, people care more about abortions than they care about the genocide of Palestinians. Brother, sorry to report this. I don't know if you're familiar with your own countrymen and women, but Americans are fucking hogs for the most part. They don't give a shit about the genocide in Gaza. I mean, even the supposed high and mighty intellectuals on the supposedly progressive liberal side of online commentary don't give a shit about the genocide in Gaza. Okay? They don't. be for fucking real. Many people have already like left this broadcast even because they're like, oh, dude, you're constantly talking about Israel. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Israel. And I don't like your perspective. Okay. Foreign policy, as I've said before, it's a cliche, but foreign policy does not dictate elections until it does. Okay. Foreign policy does not dictate elections until it does, until it's the issue. Okay. Now, overall, Gaza, Israel might become the issue, especially if the war becomes larger in the region, starts taking away from necessary resources. You know what I mean? Like domestically, it might present a problem, especially if you have like, you know, people dying and stuff or a larger conflict. Vietnam is a good example of this. Iraq war is a good example of this. Exactly. So that's something to always remember. So in certain parts of the country and in certain demographics, war is going to matter, right? People that were already less likely to go out and vote because there's not enough momentum, like the younger demographics, they now are like, I'm totally checked out. Okay? I'm totally checked out. In the older population, they fucking love that Israel is you know, humiliating and punishing Gaza. They fucking don't give a shit, or they love it. I mean, look at the polls. For sure. So, and there's unity on that front. You know what I mean? There's absolute unity on that front when the Republican Party doesn't care and they like it, and the Democratic Party doesn't care and they like it, as far as the voters goes. So, overall, I don't think that the Gaza situation for Brandon, especially for older voters, like for the people who have already said that they're going to vote for the Democratic Party, it doesn't like move the needle for them all too significantly. What actually sucks for Brandon is that he just looks not very dynamic. He looks very old and he looks very sleepy and he looks like he's fallen asleep at the wheel. So as far as like Israel goes, as far as Israel-Palestine goes, it only reaffirms the belief that many hold about Joe Biden. He's old, possibly demented, needs to be replaced. So on Israel-Palestine, it's not necessarily like Brandon's loyalty to Israel or its defense of Israel that matters. It's more so his wishy-washy, both sides of the equation, like both sides takes on Israel that once again make him look like he's too old and too stupid and falling asleep at the wheel. Does that make sense? I feel as though Americans care more about how old Biden is than his endless support of Israel.
Anna, my favorite thing about these nights is, and we're already on kind of the emotional roller coaster of when the polls close, we start to get this information. When I got off that overnight flight we were on from Des Moines and we landed here in Manchester, after that Iowa caucus, everyone here was so down on Nikki Haley's chances. They were like, there's no way she's going to pull out here in New Hampshire. And that was how it felt up until, I would say, midday today. When I started hearing from, people I've talked to since the Mitt Romney primary in 2012 who really have the state wired, and they're starting to say they're looking at these exit polling numbers and they're saying, you know what, maybe Nikki Haley has there's more here than we thought. Now, they may be, on the backside of this emotional roller coaster here in a couple of hours, but I will say, kind of as we're sitting here tonight, that suspense is very, very real. People really are wondering if Nikki Haley's going to surprise tonight.
And it is all because of those undeclared voters. But as I've been spending a week here and the last several months, really, undeclared voters is not simply independent who may, be so inclined to vote for Haley. It spans the gamut from Bernie Sanders supporters to Donald Trump supporters who simply don't like the Republican Party necessarily or want to be aligned with it. So when we talk about undeclared voters, Trump is going to get a sliver of them. The question is how many? Yeah. So they want to keep that. The Haley team wants to keep that very low. The Trump team, of course, is thinking at least a quarter of them or so. So as I've talked to voters for the last several days here at least, Haley has shown promise here for months. They've known that this is the place for her. I met one yesterday, Carol Booth, a teacher who left work to go meet Nikki Haley at a brewery. And she said the reason she's supporting her, because she can serve 8 years in office. So that generational change argument.
Yeah.
But look at what's happened here over the last 8 days. You mentioned Iowa. We were all on that plane together. 8 days, DeSantis is out of the race. It's down to 2 people. I don't think that we would have thought that necessarily.
Nicky
Can I just say one thing about this, though? You know, Trump was saying, yeah, but, you know, you could have Democrats who come in and vote in this, and they can't.
You cannot.
Because you have to have deregistered as a Democrat and registered as an undeclared.
Trump is younger. Trump is only 1 year younger than Biden. The reason why it gets lost in the sauce is because Trump appears to be more mentally sound than Brandon. That's it. I mean, he's unhinged, but he's coherent. And I don't think I can get people to recognize that. Why do you pretend that Joe Biden has a chance? If you don't think Joe Biden has a chance, you are not paying attention. Americans are very mad about abortion, okay? They have not forgotten about abortion. So the more Brandon hammers in that Donald Trump took your abortion away, okay, the more his chances will improve. Put my electoral hat on for a brief moment and deliver that piece of information to all of you alongside the top of the hour ad break, because many of you are oblivious to both of those realities. You think that there's no top of the hour ad break, and you think that abortion is not like the most important, most significant electoral issue here, because it is. Okay? Also, Trump is not 1 year younger. He's like a couple years younger. But regardless, Trump comes across like he has at least his mental faculties in order. Okay? That's it. That's what it looks like to me. I think that's what it looks like to a lot of people, even though he's also old as shit. Here's the 3-minute ad break now, by the way. Why don't they understand that he was the president while it happened? What? Not your best take, Hasan? What? Which one? That Donald Trump comes across as less demented than Brandon? Or that Brandon has a shot because abortion is genuinely a sticky issue that many people are very frustrated by? The economy is the number one issue? Oh my God, dude. You're looking at fucking singular polls. You're looking at exit polls and shit. Stop. Oh my God. Yeah, dude, it was the number one issue in the fucking midterms, too. Look how that turned out, okay? Calm down.
One thought that she's too liberal, but they both were voting for her because she could restore the Republican Party. So we heard that again and again and again. It is an uphill battle, even
also, that's precisely the reason why I said it depends on how much they hammer the abortion issue. Okay? That's why I said it depends on how much they hammer the abortion issue, which they will. They already started. Does Biden even have a plan for protecting abortion rights? No. Doesn't matter. Biden is the one who didn't do the abortion bans. That's it. And Trump is the one who did. Raft Builder and Perry's 115S. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
It is the Republican nomination, and it's really hard to win the Republican nomination if registered Republican voters are overwhelmingly for your opponent.
I already ran the top of the hour ad break, chatter.
Till late February.
Yeah, people are like, bro, how's CNN not liberal? It's like, dude, you literally have a lifelong right-wing commentator on now as like half of the CNN cast is like former communications directors for George W. Bush and shit. The other half is like directly married to, like, isn't she? Wait, is this the one that was married to Alan? No, not the one that was married to Alan Greenspan. Like, no, that's the other one. It's like the older version of her. Half of these guys are either Fox News people, or half of these guys are like either married to like some right-wing demon, or they're like, you know, they're just overtly right-wing. I don't know how to describe it. Will the Gaza issue affect the outcome here? No, probably not. Unless it becomes like a larger problem, like I said. Capus Mike, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. The Gaza issue, as it stands, is only forcing people who are already like not very interested in voting for Joe Biden to even further stay at home. Okay? Younger demographics. Those are the only people that care about abortion. Or not abortion, sorry, about Gaza. Andrea Mitchell on MSNBC was married to Greenspan, Alan Greenspan. Oh, here it is. See? Told you.
A baby I desperately wanted. At a routine, I'm an OBGYN in Texas and a mother of 3 wonderful children. Having this beautiful, messy, chaotic, but wonderful family, it's the joy of my life. I never thought that I would need an abortion for a planned pregnancy, but I did. 2 years ago, I became pregnant with a baby I desperately wanted. At a routine ultrasound, I learned that the fetus would have a fatal condition and that there was absolutely no chance of survival. In Texas, you are forced to carry that pregnancy, and that is because of Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade.
The people that care about Gaza are the same people that care about abortion. You are out of your mind if you think the people that care about Gaza are the same people that care about abortion. The people that care about Gaza also care about abortion, 100%. But the people that care about abortion don't give a fuck about Gaza, okay? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I mean here? Because you got white women that care about abortion and don't give a fuck about Gaza, okay? You got some white-ass women out there, literally in red states, that have voted for the Republican Party and are now like, oh, nope, not doing that. I don't want my daughter to have to fucking die if she has an ectopic pregnancy. You're fucking out of your mind if those ladies give a single solitary fuck about the abortions that Israel is committing right now on fucking Gaza. Okay? The human rights abuses. Those ladies would be the one hitting the button if they had the opportunity. They don't give a fuck, dude. They're just, oh, Muslims dying? Get the fuck out of here. Awesome. Sick. Yeah, Amy Schumer. Think about Amy Schumer. So just, remind yourselves of things like that. Abortion is a massive motivator, especially the more they hammer it on like this with ads like that. You'll see that.
The choice was completely taken away. I was to continue my pregnancy, putting my life at risk. It's every woman's worst nightmare, and it was absolutely unbearable. We need leaders that will...
Like, abortion is such an important issue because it's like, you can be a fucking straight up racist white supremacist, but if you got a pussy, there's a point where you like, had to really genuinely consider this, okay? And it's about your autonomy, right? In a way that is impossible for you to like avoid. Like, it's just right in your fucking face. It don't matter. You could be the biggest fucking, you could be the type of white lady that, locks the car doors the moment that she sees a black person. You could be the type of white lady that calls the cops when you see like a black kid, okay, walking down the street, and you still give a fuck about abortion because you understand that it is like, push comes to shove, you might need to have one, okay? That's an emergency medical procedure that the government has decided you're not allowed to have no more. That's a huge deal, an unimaginable deal. Which it is, by the way, for the record. It is. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying this is frivolous or that, like, women care about this. It's bullshit. I'm not saying that at all. Massively important. Massively important deal, okay? But you can't take away 50% of the population's bodily autonomy and remove a medical procedure that is literally life-saving in certain circumstances and then expect them not to turn around and punish you electorally for it. Definitely a big ass deal. No one is against abortion, only against others' abortion. It's fair, but even then, there's just not enough people. There are not enough people in the United States of America that want to punish, criminalize, and actually legitimately stop the federal government from offering abortions. There's just not enough people out there. It's not enough. It's enough to win primaries. It's enough to like build a constituency around. But the moment that you actually changed it, The moment that you actually change the rules and you no longer have taken something away from Americans, super unpopular. That's why I get very mad when liberals say, like, abortion is a divisive issue, which, by the way, Destiny did fucking say to Ben Shapiro, which was so stupid. I saw that part of the debate. I was like, what the fuck's going on? No, it's not. Abortion is not a divisive issue at all. It's not. It's an issue that the overwhelming majority of Americans have decided on, okay? It's not divisive. It may be divisive among the Republican Party, inside of the Republican Party, but that's it. But the media says it's divisive. It's not divisive. Anyway.
We'll protect our rights and not take them away. And that's Joe Biden. And
it's divisive if you get wicked lost in the sauce on the philosophical implications of it, which of course debate lords do. No. Nobody is like talking about the divisiveness of abortion on the philosophical boundaries as it pertains to legislation, though, because there's a second set of philosophical standards that override the what it means to be life, and is abortion actually murder conversation, and that is, should the government enforce some kind of rule on this? Okay, and if they do, how do they enforce this rule? And that always destroys the first conversation.
Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Anyway, let's get back to
of the people who voted and who they voted for, and then she will give that information to the Secretary of State and to the city as well, and then keep one, and it will be checked several times to make sure everything has been done properly. So far, there are more than 1,855 people who have voted. That includes absentee ballots as well. And so you will see this process happening now. Eventually, she will go over, she will pick up the phone, they will have the conversation with the Secretary of State, and then she will announce who won, basically, who got what votes to the folks in here. But the polls have closed. There is no one that I see left in line. Everyone has been able to vote. And
I
so
love
as
America.
you're seeing here, this is like the last bit of what happens here in Concord. This is Ward 10, a very high voting district. According to all of the folks here, people are very, very,
Bro,
very much.
I can't believe people say I'm an America hater. America is so much content. Like, yeah, it makes me very upset a lot of times, especially when you're thinking about, like, you know, all the shitty things that we're responsible for globally. But, like, it's also such content, like, impossible not to think about the content. Just like the fact that it's a 50-50 split amongst a 64% non-MAGA Republican voting bloc right now that thinks that Joe Biden actually stole the election.
Results. If you can hear, that's just said, I'm calling you. My name is Jay Whitelaw. I'm calling with the results.
Okay, what would you like first? Okay, you don't want the totals, you just want me the Republican? Okay. Undervotes 2, you care. Okay, Mary Maxwell, okay. Donald Jorns, 0. Mary Maxwell, 3.
So dumb. All right, let's look at this.
Let me get it over here, make sure we got them very quick so people can quickly see these comparisons. And here we go. So part of the MAGA movement, right? 46% of the Iowa electorate was part of MAGA, just 32%
So far from these exit polls, okay?
of MAGA. And again, exit polls, as you
None
fairly
of this
note.
matters. They're all going to vote for Trump when Trump is the candidate. Oh, my God.
Legitimately. He did not win legitimately. 66% of Iowa Republicans thought that. Only half of this electorate thought that. That, I think, is a pretty good indicator of what the core Trump vote is, for what it's worth. 49 is an interesting number, now isn't it? Right? We can look here. If Trump's convicted, right? Is he fit for office? Not fit for office. In Iowa is just 31% of that electorate. Here, 47%. You would assume that number is a pretty heavy Haley number.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to sit there and match it up, but that 49-47 feels like some numbers we should be watching.
I do want to ask you about the process tonight. We spoke with our decision desk elections director, if you will, John Lipinski, who was walking us through the night. Polls have closed in many parts of the state at 7. If you have more than, I think, 300,000 residents or something, you close at 8 o'clock. So when we make
as you
a
see,
call,
we're going to get some. We're not making a call this hour.
Yeah, we're not making a call this hour.
We will not.
We should remind voters. 2016, we were able to call at 8 p.m. Eastern. We don't think that's going to happen.
We don't know.
We don't know.
In fairness, we're watching. We should get a lot of
a little later.
We should get a lot of vote count in this next hour. Okay. And we do our own sample. We have actual physical people at specific precincts that we want to know early returns on, and it's a way to find out if we can call. We were able to do that in Iowa. Right. We had these people on the ground. We have these same people on the ground. But look, you heard him. It's a 97+% likelihood that we have to have. I will be shocked if we are anywhere near that neighborhood at 8 p.m. tonight.
When people are seeing the data come into the big board right now as it's getting fed in here, we obviously have, we should point this out, 0% in. So it's 100%.
It is. And as you saw,
this was, I think...
we watched it. Data went in and data just came out. So it's early.
It's coming. It's
coming.
going.
Yeah. Well, we'll be watching, but we're just beginning.
Chuck Todd, we appreciate it.
Night.
I want to bring in a moderator of Meet the Press. Where am I going here? There's so much. It's an anchor obstacle course over here. Kristen Welker, she's back with us. Kristen,
hello.
Hey, how are you? You covered the White House. You've been in and out of New Hampshire, Iowa, tracking the president's support. When we talk about those MAGA numbers that Chuck just pointed out, what stands out to you?
Well, I think that gives you a window into the possibility that Nikki Haley could have a better than expected night. The fact that you're not seeing the vast majority of voters identify as a part of the MAGA movement. And again, it's still very early. Yeah. But that is, I think, a significant data point for sure.
What is the thinking here amongst Republicans?
Yeah.
What type of night does Nikki Haley have to have? There's obviously the...
By the way, I told you there's only two ways out of this, okay? Nikki Haley outperforms the polls, which is less likely, and actually does eke out a very, very slim victory against Donald Trump, which will be presented as the biggest deal by the media, okay? Only for Trump to just fucking clumster and dumpster her in every other state as he runs the table. Okay? The media, in my opinion, especially on the liberal side, will try to pull how amazing is it that Joe Brandon won South Carolina moment, but I don't think it's going to move the needle for the Republicans. They love Trump. He's the fucking god. He's the OG. It's not happening. The only idiots that believe it are us. We're the only idiots that are weirdly normalizing someone like Nikki Haley to a broadly liberal coalition. We're so stupid. Now, keeping Haley in the primary longer helps Biden is the position that some have. Okay? I saw that in the chat. But no, it doesn't. I don't think it does. You want to know why? Because, well, one, it's Jover after New Hampshire. And two, there is no real fissure. There's no real division between the Republican Party. The voters don't care. All you're doing is normalizing some fucking person as this supposed liberal, moderate Republican for no fucking reason.
Independents being able to vote in this election is a sign that he's watching along with us and
it's
not
interesting
thrilled. He'd like this race to be called like Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how early Iowa was called. That's not going to be the case tonight.
And getting that independent vote has been his argument in his language over abortion, right? He's been talking about he's not going to go to the 6-week ban because he wants to win elections, quote unquote.
Well, what's so fascinating about that is that Donald Trump appointed the 3 Supreme Court judges.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of scared about the media normalizing Nikki Haley and then Trump literally capturing that attention to reposition himself as a moderate administration in the eyes of liberals by putting Nikki Haley in the VP slot. This is what I'm worried about. This is why I keep saying based on the initial precincts reporting, this isn't going to be a total Trump blowout. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Nikki Haley. This is the only state where Nikki Haley was performing well. There's a Cristobal Christie gift to her.
DeSantis 15, Nikki Haley 849, Asa Hutchinson 0, Peter Jeddick 0, Perry Johnson 1, Donald.
All right, we've gotten the results
George,
we wanted there from the moderator at Manchester Ward 6.
Cam, we'll just follow you around with like a welcome
follow me around throughout the night. But what an amazing panel you have. I want to stick around and hang out with you guys.
Right. Go on, right? I know. Oh, start. Kristen, we love having you. Speaking of that, it's still an early night. I do want to get to Shaq Brewster. She joins us tonight from Milford, New Hampshire. He joins us tonight, excuse me, from Milford, New Hampshire. And Shaq, voting is still going on there. Another 45 minutes where you're at?
Yes, voting is very active right now. Still seeing people filing, still seeing people register to vote. And you know, one thing that's unique about this location, it's the only polling location in the entire town of Milford. We're not too far away from the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And if you go back to 2016 and look at those general election results, you saw Donald Trump win here, but then you go to 2020, you saw President Biden win by just about 34 votes. So it's a swing area, generally speaking, and for general elections. And also, it was almost a bellwether in 2016 when you look at the primary. And I want to bring in Pete, who you've been helping us out all day. You're the election moderator here.
Yep.
Tell me, you just did a lap around.
Yes.
Have about 45 minutes left of voting. What did you notice? What did you see? Are people still coming in?
People are still coming in, not as strong as in the last hour, but we'll have people coming in right until 8 o'clock for sure.
What are numbers looking like right now?
Right now, we're on track probably to about 5,500 voters that will cast ballots during the course of the day.
You said at the top it was about 9,800 registered voters.
Yeah, 9,682 to start the day, and so far we've added about 250 new voters, approximately. We haven't done the numbers yet.
My math is not all that great, but that sounds like a little bit over 50% of registered voters who have cast the ballot.
That's correct, yes, yes.
Talk to me a little bit about why this location is still open for another 45 minutes or so. What makes this different?
The town decided many years ago, decades ago, that because of the way people work, that it was best to be open from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. The people catch the people that want to stop before they go to work and catch the people that are coming home from late in the evening. So the town voted that way, and it's stayed 6 to 8 ever since.
All right, you have an extra hour of work compared to other people in this state. It seems like things are going well so far, though, Tom. Here you go.
All right, Shaq Brewster for us. Shaq, we appreciate you and all your reporting. Joining us now from the Trump headquarters in New Hampshire's Andre.
That's what I don't get about the Dem-centric media pushing Haley so much. It either makes her a good VP candidate for Trump or she wins by some miracle and just demolishes Biden everywhere. Yes. And now Vivek is in the Andrew Yang seat, also known as the Cuck chair, the Sneeko chair, if you will. There he is.
That was Donald Trump and myself. I do think we need an outsider, a businessman in the White House to actually lead as a chief executive. The people of Iowa spoke loud and clear. I got about 8% of the vote. I think it would have been something similar in New Hampshire. I wanted to send that vote Donald Trump's direction because we need an America First leader for this movement. And so that's why I made the decision I did. I'm glad Ron DeSantis made the decision that he did. I think it's time for this primary to be over and to go on to a decisive general election victory that's going to be required to reunite this country. And so I felt like I was doing my duty and my part, and I hope that the other candidates now do theirs.
Vivek, why would you want to wrap this up so quickly? I got to think you're a capitalist, and one of the tenets of capitalism is competition. Don't you think a competition would make the party better, would make the eventual nominee better?
So I think we've had that competition. To be clear, I was in the thick of that competition
after one stage
for nearly a year. Yes. Well, look, it was when it was that decisive. I do think that now, after going through New Hampshire, it will be a waste of resources. And so speaking as a capitalist, one of the things you look at is resource allocation. I don't think it's good to waste resources of large donors, small donors alike, funding what I really see as a fake race from here on out when the people of this country and of the GOP primary base have spoken loud and clear. I think the essence of what's happening, let's call this spade out for what it is that Nikki Haley and her supporters are playing for a scenario that nobody in the GOP and frankly nobody in this country should be rooting for. It's that Donald Trump is somehow wrongfully eliminated from the ballot. That's the only possible scenario that Nikki Haley has to the nomination, and I think it's worth seeing that with open eyes out in the open. So tonight, a win is a win for Donald Trump, and I think that should end this primary.
That's so funny because, like, literally 5 minutes ago, redistricting, Dave Wasserman. Wait, did Dave Wasserman? What the fuck? Did this motherfucker soft block me? No way. I feel like I've followed him for years. Did he ghost block me and then unblock me so I'm not following him? That's crazy. That's weird. Anyway, soft block is when you secretly block and unblock someone so they unfollow you without them knowing. Wow, I can't believe President Joe Biden won the New Hampshire primary. That's crazy.
And if President Trump comes out strong tonight, that's a clear message being sent from our primary voters. You took issue with Ronna McDaniel during our NBC News debate. Are you surprised that you and her are now on the same page so quickly?
Well, look, I think that John Fetterman's been saying things about the southern border in recent weeks that I agree with as well, that we need to seal the southern border. So if Ronna McDaniel's going to speak something that, to my eyes, looked like it was a true statement, yes, I agree with her, that the clear signal from GOP primary voters do matter. That's a separate issue from whether we need new RNC leadership. I believe we do. I think that the RNC has not been well managed or well run, but that's a question for another night. The question for tonight is really, what message are Republican primary voters sending? I think they sent a clear message in Iowa. I think they are sending today a clear message in New Hampshire across the board, actual Republican primary voters. And that's one thing, one way we need to look at the results tonight is what did the registered Republican primary voters actually say?
The Republicans literally went from saying John Fetterman is R-worded all the way to like he had a fucking head transplant to being like, no, actually he's awesome. Which is really funny because, like, if the Republican rhetoric was true, then only someone who's had a debilitating mental, like a debilitating accident that broke his brain so much so that it made people think that he got a head transplant surgery, only then could someone become such a reactionary conservative. Like, they kept saying he is so R-worded in the most, like, you know, I guess media appropriate ways you can say that. And now they're like, yeah, guess what? That guy who got a head transplant, who's like really stupid, you know, that guy, that's my guy now. I agree with him. It's so weird. That's your guy? Only when someone is like a victim of a car crash or a stroke are they your guy. They're making the decisions that you like.
Race. That being said, the people of Iowa sent a clear message, and I do think that if it wasn't going to be me, I went all in to support the other businessman in this race who is serious about taking on the administrative state and that deep state in the federal government, and that's Donald Trump. And I think many of the issues that Trump is running on now, these go beyond traditional partisan boundaries. Growing the economy, sealing the southern border, reviving national pride in the next generation. These are not black or white issues. I think in a deeper sense, these are not even really Democrat or Republican issues. These are American issues. And so I think this America First movement that we're leading, that Donald Trump is now leading from the front, is going to be something that actually unites Americans across many stripes and boundaries. And I think that's going to be the main surprise in that second term is not only how decisive the election result is, but more importantly,
he's like, I don't want Donald Trump just to lead from the front. I want him to lead me from the back. That's right. Clap my cheeks. That's what I'm talking about. Day one, he's going to be coming in and clapping my cheeks, blowing them to smithereens, folks.
To end the primary, to focus on what the Republican Party actually accomplishes in the general election. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we have a decisive general election result and more importantly, that we reunite this country afterwards.
Vivek Ramaswamy, we thank you for your time tonight from Trump headquarters there in New Hampshire, uniting the parties. What I'd like to talk about now with our panel. We're joined by Hogan Gidley and Sarah Matthews, who both served as White House Deputy Press Secretaries during the Trump administration. Also with us is Rich Lowry, editor of the National Review. We thank you all for being here. Rich, I didn't see them sneak you in here, but welcome to the panel.
To surprise you.
So uniting the party. So you have Vivek now on the same page as Ronna McDaniel, essentially saying if Trump wins, this race is over. But a lot of people will point out that there's still 50% of voters who maybe want something different, Republican voters. Do you think this process should continue, or if Trump has a decisive victory here, is it over? I'm going to start with you, Rich.
Oh, it's probably effectively over. You know, a moral victory I don't think is enough for Nikki Haley here. It's a little bit like DeSantis. No other state was going to be as good for DeSantis. He wasn't going to get the sitting governor to endorse him, to campaign with him, the prime activist in the state, and he got 20% or 21%. She's going to do better than that in New Hampshire, but just getting close, where else is it going to be better for her? This is a relatively moderate electorate, a lot of college-educated voters. Independents play a big role, and there are other states where independents can vote in Republican primaries more than most people think, but it's hard to see where it gets better. Where's the sitting governor going to endorse her? I mean, Chris Sununu may have campaigned harder than Nikki Haley. I mean, he put it all on the line. So close isn't going to be good enough in my view, and I would expect if she loses, it'll be kind of a DeSantis rundown where you don't immediately get out because you've invested so much, you think about it for a few days, and then reality sinks in, and you get out and endorse Trump.
Sarah, do you think the former president, Ronna McDaniel, all the people supporting Trump, do they have enough juice that if Nikki Haley loses tonight, they're going to essentially force her to stop running?
Nikki Haley's campaign has made clear that they intend on sticking it out and staying in through South Carolina. They said that they have a $4 million ad buy that they already purchased. And I think that right now we're seeing turnout be really high in New Hampshire. And that is a good sign for her and her campaign. And if she can kind of defy expectations and maybe pull or get it close enough in single digits with Donald Trump, particularly I think she would need less than 5% single digits to actually make the case for why she should stay in through South Carolina, then maybe she could get an influx of donors who are going to be supporting her, help give her that juice to stay in the race. But if not, then there's a month in between New Hampshire and South Carolina.
Before,
Come on,
she is trying to
give me
beat him with a more...
I want to know the participation. Like, come on, tell me in comparison to 2016. What is the...
All right, let's bring in New Hampshire Secretary of State David Scanlon.
What does the participation look like? How primed are people? How interested are people? These guys are so fucking stupid. Like, the tabulation doesn't matter. Trump's gonna win. But like, I want to know like how primed is the Republican primary voter participation? How enthusiastic they are? How else can you make assertions about the general election?
Asking for more ballots. They were getting concerned that the Republican ballots were getting low.
No, not 49% were registered Republicans. I want to know how many people voted this time around, and I want to know what that number looks like in comparison to the 2016, or 2015, in comparison to 2019. Obviously, that's a little different. It doesn't really matter, but I want to know what like I want to know how it, played out, because this is where the Trump train started chewing,
Equally smooth.
What's being done to make sure the ballots are secured and counted accurately? What's the process there?
In New Hampshire, counting the ballots is a continuous process in the open. So anybody that's interested can observe a polling place. That observation begins when the polls open, and it ends at the end of the night after all of the ballots have been counted and the results posted at the polling place and announced by the moderator. And then those vote totals will be sent to the Secretary of State, my office tomorrow morning very early, and take those numbers and aggregate them so that we can come up with the official statewide totals.
All right, Secretary of State Scanlon, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. There's only about a half hour left until all voting ends in New Hampshire. Remember, some of the townships allow voting later than others. That will be our first chance to potentially project a winner of the New Hampshire Republican primary. More votes are being...
What do you mean, who am I illegally voting for? Excuse me, I'm a New Hampshire registered voter and an independent, and it is perfectly well within my rights to write in chunk yogurt in the Republican side, too. Love Dave Wasserman failing to factor in all the write-ins are for Cenk and not Biden. I used to trust him. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up that he called it already. When we all know Cenk is going to probably win.
That's a normal thing.
Rich, how do you think Republican voters who witnessed everything that happened after the 2020 election, how do they talk themselves into voting for former President Trump if they do believe that former President Trump tried to steal the election? He's accused in Georgia. He's accused, obviously, by the federal government as well. How do those Republican voters say, I'm going to give him another shot, even though he tried to sort of...
Well, it's the opposite,
okay,
right?
Yeah, walk me
most
through this.
Republicans think that he was done dirty at some level in 2020.
By the mail-in voting, by whatever.
Even something
even though
worse.
it was legal. It was,
But the thing is, this would have been his foremost vulnerability, right? He lost to Joe Biden, right? But he lied it away, you know, and most Republicans are willing to go along with it or actively believe it. And that's the other key thing. The two exogenous factors that hurt Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, besides, you know, how terrible DeSantis' campaign were, obviously the indictments. But then the electability argument went away because Trump's polling was so strong against Biden. You look at the 2020 polling. Trump never led against Biden. Never. He's never polled this strong in national polls, ever. He wasn't polling this strongly against Hillary. So I think it's actually a sign of weakness that he's not higher against Biden, because I think Biden is in such a weak state. But you can't really make that argument. You can't go out and Ron DeSantis say, I'm losing by 20 points in the polls right now to Trump, and he's beating Biden by more than I am, but I'm more electable. I think that's true, but the argument doesn't work.
Sarah, do you think Republicans, and I know we have polling on this, but when you talk to Republicans, do you think they don't believe that he tried to overturn the election, or do you think they don't care?
I think they believe his lies, that they believe that it was stolen from him. They view someone like Joe Biden as incredibly weak, and so they can't imagine a scenario in how Joe Biden would pull off a win against Donald Trump. But the thing is that I wish that those same Republicans who believe that were hearing now the guilty pleas that we've heard from some of the Trump co-conspirators in Georgia, where they acknowledge.
Yeah, like they give a fuck. What are you saying? You already described the inconsistency in believing that someone is so powerful that they could steal an election, okay, in secrecy, but is so weak that there's no way that weak-ass candidate could have ever defeated Donald Trump. They don't care. They're stupid. Oh, man, so many people pled guilty. So many Republicans pled guilty to their crimes in January 6th. It's like, they don't give a fuck.
Ever?
It's all of it. It's all of it. Yes, of course you do, Tom. I want to come back to that, but there's actually some important news that's sort of happening here as I'm talking to you from Derry, New Hampshire. This is Tina Guilford. She's the town clerk of Derry. You're actually the only full-time official in the Derry, only full-time elected official in Derry. Yep. You are on the verge of, and it's not happening for sure, and you seem to feel confident that it won't happen, but you could run out of ballots. You have less than 1,000 ballots left, and almost 9,000 people have participated tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. So we were running low, and so we called the Secretary of State. They did not have anything extra for us, but we did have absentees that we did not use. And they were at Town Hall, so we went to Town Hall, and we brought them in. So they are here in the building if we need them. Our turnout has kind of slowed up, so I don't know that we're going to need them, but we do have them.
And you're not the only jurisdiction, town or city in New Hampshire that's sort of faced with this issue.
Correct.
I've heard.
Yeah, except they're all white, so obviously the election is not being stolen. Unless Nikki Haley somehow wins, in which case there's secret black voters in New Hampshire that voted. And we will 100% find them. Remember, folks, when it's like 90% white people voting, there's no election being stolen. You feel me? Like, that doesn't work.
Which is okay. Like I said, we have the absentees, so we are all set.
Okay, so with those absentees, you feel like you'll be able to run out the rest of the clock here with about 26 minutes to go and make sure everybody can come in and participate?
Well, we would make sure everybody can come in and participate that wants to participate. If we had to make photocopies and I had to sign every single one and do all those things, we would do them.
Okay, that's why we love our election workers. That is democracy in action. Tina, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate you. So you heard it here from Derry. It's also happening elsewhere in the state. The turnout is high. They say it's almost 9,000 here. That would be around 50% turnout for the biggest polling location, if not just in New Hampshire, in the entire country. Which way those voters go, ultimately, we won't know until the polls close here, the results are tabulated and announced. Tom?
Yeah, I'm seeing it from the reporting you were talking about. The
smoked meat or grilled meat? Grilled meat. I'm a grilled meat guy myself. That's my preference, but I like smoked meat too.
You made the point earlier that the president or Donald Trump would be elected by or anybody, whoever the nominee is, they need Republican support.
That was not Budget Sam Cedar. That was Jacob Soboroff, who used to be a coworker of mine. He also worked at Participant Media.
This particular Republican Party is more moderate. Well, the last 5 national surveys that have been released on this race have all had Trump at or slightly above 70%. So if these exits hold and he gets 70% of the Republicans who are registered Republicans in New Hampshire,
all right, release the Kraken.
Then he's going to hit the number
capital
that he's
because the
hitting among
initial, with half the vote in, Haley was getting exactly what she was looking for. Now almost all of the vote in is in. Again, we thought she needed to be in the high 50s, close to 60 here. She's sitting at 54, so that might be
release the Kraken.
She wanted to get out of Concord again with almost all the vote in. And then what you're seeing here is we're showing you, cities, small cities, or some of the Concord's the 3rd largest in New Hampshire, but when you get more down to the town level, just about all the vote is in here in Hillsborough right now. Trump 63, Haley 34. Again, we thought Haley needed to be around 40% here. Just about all the vote is in Bristol. Haley is running at 42. We thought she needed to be in the high 40s here. And we also now have a little bit of vote. It's not much, but we have 17% in the city of Manchester. Manchester, the largest city in New Hampshire, about 115,000 people here. You see Trump running at 56-42. And basically, we thought as Manchester goes potentially, so goes New Hampshire. This is one we kind of looked at and said, look, if Haley's running even here with Trump, that probably signals basically an even race statewide. If she's ahead, advantage Haley. If
they wanted her to be within 10 points and she's in 1. No. This is like, it's too early to tell. But also, no, she's like around, what was it? Like last polling show, she's around like 5 points to like they wanted her to be within single digits of Donald Trump, which she is.
Over more money down here, then you get Rochester here, more working class, and just take a look at what we thought Haley needed to get out of here. Again, we thought she needed to be about 40%. She's at 36. There's still vote to come in, so we'll see how she does. But there does seem to be a divide as these votes come in here. That in these cities.
What does my man say? Steve Kornacki
Any
explains
minute
the
now.
NBC decision estimate turnout has been raised twice today and is now at a higher than expected 330,000.
We can start getting results from these cities and towns, and I told you what we're going to be looking for. But another thing.
330,000 estimate means that it's actually significantly higher than 2016 or 2015.
To keep in mind is this. This is the current NBC News Decision Desk estimate of what the turnout will be in the Republican race. 330,000 is what we have it at now. I can tell you that number has been raised twice today, based on reports coming back from the polls, based on what we're seeing in terms of foot traffic here and reports from the polls themselves. So again, higher than we were expecting, it looks like, turnout. You see some of I've gone through the areas that are requesting more ballots. I will show you again.
This guy, Natty Orangier, Kornacki, he's a roid head, big time.
But is she going to start missing? Because these smaller...
Can't you tell? He's so fucking jacked.
They start to add up, not individually, but collectively, they start to add up. And if she's consistently going to fall 5-10 points short there from what we think she needed to be getting, that will take a toll on her as more come in. So that's what we've got so far. We'll see as more come in. And again, Laconia, we just check on Yeah, again, this is now we got about a fifth of the vote here. Laconia, this is one where she's falling so far well short, double digit short of where we thought she needed to be. So again, you're seeing a mixed bag for her, and we want to just see. We also got New Boston is a very small town. New Boston just came in and just again give you a sense of what we thought Haley needed. Yeah, this is basically exactly what we thought she needed here. So again, that one is good news for Haley, but she needs good news across the board. And if she's getting bad news consistently in the small towns, she needs to make up for it by significantly overperforming in the cities. And again, Concord, a good example here. She'd need to, if she's running poorly in the small towns, this number would probably need to get up closer to 60. So we'll see more coming in. The initial pattern.
Yeah, you're right. Chatters are right. One Boston is good enough. We don't need two. We don't need a new one. What the fuck are you guys doing?
Can ballot, and then on their way out, if they want to go back to being undeclared, they can go ahead and do so. Now, this is the kind of area that Nikki Haley really needs to rack up her margins, because
her breathing is so funny.
In 2016, a lot of folks here went for more moderate candidates, the Caucus, the Bushes, right? So this is an area where she really has an opportunity. At the same time, we've also been meeting a lot of undeclared voters and Democrats who have been writing in Joe Biden, because that is the other factor that we're dealing with here in New Hampshire that we weren't dealing with in Iowa, right? You've got Trump and Nikki
Her
Haley.
fit is straight fire. I just hate her because I'm a misogynist. No, I hate her for what she did to John Fetterman, but like now I hate John Fetterman way more than I hate her, so I don't know.
All of these dynamics at play as we've been talking to voters and watching the process unfold here, Tom.
Dasha Burns, we appreciate you and all your reporting. I want to get back over to Chuck Todd over at the big board, because we're getting some new exit poll data when it comes
she didn't
to
shit
the
on
major
she didn't shit on John Fetterman like that because John Fetterman was like going to become a reactionary, though. She shit on him because John Fetterman was a beacon of progressivism at that
The New
point.
Hampshire Republican electorate is not like most Republican electorates. And look at this. A federal law that would ban abortions nationwide, 67% of this electorate opposes that, just 27%. Remember, Governor Chris Sununu is a Republican governor, and he's considered pro-choice or pro-abortion rights. But let me compare this just to show you the difference between the New Hampshire and Iowa electorate. Same question we asked in Iowa. 61% of the Iowa Republicans favored a ban. 27, so you see, again, a huge difference.
But tougher to draw on who this helps, right? Because Trump has been out there.
Well, that's the irony. I was just going to say, Trump and Haley have both sort of tried really hard to make you think they agree with you on abortion, whatever your position is. They're both kind of elusive on it. Obviously, Trump, because he appointed the Supreme Court justices, can't fully get away from some of these abortion questions. Haley, Haley's been sounding more pro-abortion rights than I've ever heard her before, previously than this campaign.
The only time, bro, even in the Republican caucus inside of New Hampshire, it's still only 27%. You can't say it's divisive. If only 27% of Republicans favor a federal law banning abortions nationwide, it's no longer divisive. It's certainly not divisive in America. We're talking Republican primary voters, okay?
With the Boston Globe. James, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Talk to me about what stood out to you so far as we're getting the exit polling data in. We're projecting a record turnout in New Hampshire as well.
First of all, these are impressive voting numbers from New Hampshire voters, but I will say New Hampshire actually does turn out. So in some of these communities, particularly where Nikki Haley needs to do well, I'm thinking of Portsmouth, for example, and Concord, for example.
Bro, they're cranks. It's such a crank state. It's a crank state. That's why. It's so perfectly representative of being a crank when you also have high turnout in comparison to other states for the fucking primaries, okay?
And along the Massachusetts border and Hillsborough County, which is where I'm at here in Manchester. And we've seen some reporters out in Milford, and obviously where Dasha's at in Nashua. They make up 55% of the Republican primary base. If you want to include Concord or Merrimack County, that's now 2/3. So the southern tier, the Boston suburbs, the Boston media market, that is where this base is going to, that's where this race will be decided. And I'll say one more thing. If you look at some of these margins where Nikki Haley needs to do especially well, she is winning. She is probably not winning by the type of margins she will need to sustain some of these more rural communities where Donald Trump is racking it up. And for that, I'm thinking of Laconia, where he's crushing it, or on the western side in Claremont, where he's winning he's getting 60 to 70% of the vote. That's going to make it really challenging, I think, for Nikki Haley to come out of this. But it's these last votes, the ones that finish at 8 o'clock, that's going to be Nikki Haley territory. So we won't really know exactly where she stands until later in the night.
Do we know where the turnout is sort of higher than normal yet in the state, in which regions, or we're not sure?
Yeah, we do. I mentioned 2 counties, and one in particular is all that I'm obsessed with whenever there's a Republican primary, whether it's for state Senate, governor, obviously president, and that's Rockingham County. This is, it does tend to have a mix of people in the trades, some blue collar, but a lot of it is bedroom communities for Boston that are white collar and are college educated. They're disproportionately the group of those 10 communities that did seek more ballots. They're the ones that we have seen anecdotally more turnout. I know NBC News or MSNBC.
Imagine the first woman president being a Republican. That is not hard to imagine at all. If anything, that is the definitionally that is the more likely outcome. It's the most likely scenario. Hillary Clinton would have been a Republican president functionally. What's a bedroom community? I think it means like these guys are mentality wise Massachusetts, so they're woke, but they live in New Hampshire because it's cheaper. That's what it means, right? Isn't that what that means, chat? That's what I assumed. Like they're commuters. Work in Boston, but lay their head in New Hampshire. Race car beds. Yeah, that's what that means.
In the last week in particular, he has been an integral part in creating some excitement about her campaign, probably even more than the candidate herself, who closes her last rally last night. Her closing rally was only 34 minutes of a talk and no questions, but he has clearly been trying to go out there and convince people that this is actually something to care about and to vote against Trump. Now, Tom, I would spend about 2 hours at polling places around New Hampshire, particularly in Rockingham County.
Why do you think a woman is more likely to win as a Republican? I don't get it. Republicans have an image issue that they must soften. Like, yeah, sure, they're misogynistic and stuff, but if the candidate is a woman, Republicans are going to get whipped in line. And that optic of like having a woman, I feel like would genuinely captivate enough moderate liberals that they would turn around and vote. Not like a Sarah Palin type. Obviously, Sarah Palin as a vice president, according to some people, ruined John McCain's chances. But like Nikki Haley is not like that. Nikki Haley is like the perfect. I mean, she's clear. She's Hillary Clinton. I just called her Hillary. Conservatives love tokens, but for Nikki Haley, it's beyond that. It's liberals that would vote for her. George Santos arrived at Trump's watch party in New Hampshire. My fucking queen, dude. Looking spectacular.
Boastful, really, today of how well they thought they were going to do here, how they thought they could close this race out. Even everything
Guys. Nikki Haley has like an 8-point lead on Biden on polls that are coming out, okay? The media has been sucking her. The media has been sucking her so hard, constantly talking about the mother quake and how she's cunting and she's slaying. Okay? What are you talking about? There are liberals. Go ask your liberal friends. Go ask your older liberal family members that watch like MSNBC and shit what they think about Nikki Haley. And hear them fucking sing her praises like she's not a psychopathic right-wing reactionary.
The idea that independents and Democrats might be, if not ruining, but at least changing the character of the celebration they are hoping to have tonight. As for the senior
Nimrata,
leadership
more
of the Trump campaign team, I
cuntrata.
can tell you kind of the old axiom
Mother
of
cunt.
campaign nights is the people who are talking don't know, the people who know aren't talking. The sort of inner cloister of the Trump campaign team is going to be watching these numbers very closely. But their guy, their candidate,
Motherada.
always sort of tips his hand a little bit about how he feels watching the results come in.
Right, and two very different sort of campaign managers and people leading this campaign than Trump campaigns of the past. I do want to go back to something you said. George Santos is at the watch party there. How's he being received?
I saw him myself, Tom, taking pictures at the bar with a lot of fans. I mean, he is, in his own way, a very much a MAGA celebrity and a creature of this moment. I haven't had a chance to talk to him myself yet, but the selfie line was long around the former congressman at the bar just a few minutes ago.
Garrett Haig for us at the Trump watch party for tonight. We're going to check back with you, I'm sure, very soon. We've been talking about election alerts. We now have a khaki alert. That means Steve Kornacki is going to show us where Nikki Haley has to go to find the votes. Steve, great to have you tonight. Tell us where she needs to go.
So right here, I think what jumps out is this. The 6% in this Republican primary right now call themselves liberal and 31% call themselves moderate. That is a combined total of 37% saying moderate or liberal. In 2016, last competitive Republican primary in New Hampshire, that total number was 29%. So this is 8 percentage points higher. Again, if you're having far more non-Republicans participate, it might follow that the ideology would move a little bit away from the conservative side. That's what you're seeing. Again, key question, is this a red herring or are the numbers going to remain like this? Other things we can show you here. We talked so much in Iowa last week about the role of evangelical Christians. They were an outright majority of the caucus electorate, 55%, and they went overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. They were the backbone of his Iowa landslide last week. What share in New Hampshire identify as born-again Christians and evangelicals in this first wave? It is 19%. Again, that is far lower than Iowa. We knew it would be far lower than Iowa, but also New Hampshire is one of the most secular Republican electorates you're going to find. But 8 years ago, it was 25%. So it's down even from that I keep saying this, broken record, but it's important, in the first wave. Other key findings I think we can show you here. I want to show one more from the second page, and that is, we asked this question in Iowa, and we asked it again tonight. Do you consider yourself part of the MAGA movement? And the answer here in this Republican primary in the first wave is 64% say, basically 2/3 say they do not consider themselves consider themselves part of the of the MAGA movement. And I'm just searching to make sure I get the right number here. In Iowa last week, the number of no's was 50. So it's jumped up double digits here in this first wave.
Steve Kornacki for us. He can't stop. He's still going. Steve, we got to go. We thank you for that. I want to bring in back the panel now. So, Rich, I want to ask you, we've heard from a lot of sort of Republicans. We've heard about some of the people assembling around the Trump watch party. People.
You are scared to watch a debate between Shapiro and your daddy. We all know you have a very fragile ego. First of all, I'm actually excited at watching the Ben Shapiro Destiny debate. Secondly, there is perhaps nothing more pathetic than like advocating for a Twitch streamer and fantasizing about how this person is like somehow scary and powerful. It literally, dude, you got to really legitimately reevaluate your perspective on the world. Like you're talking about like a YouTube streamer, cake streamer. Like it's that important for you. Life. Like, it's that important in your life that you're saying, like, this is your daddy. I feel like the level of being cucked in that situation, no, we will never reconcile. Don't be a fucking idiot. You are, oh my God. I'm going to give you an hour off. You are still butthurt from losing a debate to daddy? Oh my God. It's like sleeper cells, brother. They activate immediately. That's crazy. I don't know if you know this, but there were plenty of debates that I did with Destiny way back in the day. You can watch them. Some of them are on my YouTube page, actually. The last time I mentioned them was like 4 or 5 years ago. just for the record, there were plenty of debates where he got his shit pushed in, like when he was talking about Donald Trump and whatnot. But a lot of that stuff is basically Stalin style, wiped off the record. You know, because you guys care more about an image of like destroying your interlocutors or whatever. Also, yes, please stop calling him daddy, you fucking losers. Jesus Christ. Didn't know there were this many Haywatchers? Brother, let me tell you. It's not, yeah, I can say the N-word in the vacuum of space debate. Yeah. Remember the N-word debate and how his fan base still like they whitewashed the record and act like this was a phenomenal banger of a line? Like that was the logical conclusion of that one, where I was like, you shouldn't say it in private, especially because when you say it in private, you will say it in public. I'm not a hate watcher, but I am in general just kind of a hater. Respect. I respect that. I watch those debates. They are not worth it. I know. To be fair though, it is really bad. Remember when he started yelling at Dick Wolf about fiduciary responsibility, like he was the good doctor yelling at Dr. Hahn? Or Michael Brooks? There's plenty of fucking wonderful debates where Destiny gets fucking packed up over and over again. His fan base refuses to recognize them, of course. Sometimes packed up by really awful people too. Such as the nature of being a guy who likes to debate. Not saying that Ben Shapiro will ruin him or anything like that, because I just assume that they will most likely agree on more than they disagree on. Been hate subbing you for 4 years. Now I feel like I should get a reward for that. Yes. The level that Reddit hates you is wild. That automatically puts you in a good light. I know, but it's just so fucking annoying. But yeah. Why is Nikki Haley this close to Trump? I don't get it. He's a former president. New Hampshire is weird. A lot of independents. Yeah. Any Nikki heads in the chat? Real Haley heads, stand up. Me, Nikki Slaley. I'm a Nikki Slaley fan. Did you see Johnny Harris' apology Instagram post about his shirt that we watched yesterday? He deleted the video. Yeah, I heard that he deleted the video. You do not under any circumstance have to share a meal with fucking Nick Fuentes. I mean, yeah, that's another one too. Or defend the notion that Nick Fuentes is not a Nazi to your fan base and fucking literally ban people from your subreddit for calling you out for doing such a thing. And then haphazardly trying to act like, oh, well, actually, I just meant like he's a nationalist. I just wouldn't say that he's a national socialist or whatever the fuck. Like, I see the memes, brother. I know. Just because I don't talk about it doesn't mean that I'm not aware of, like, some of this shit. Have you forgotten about Doug Burgum so quickly? I forgot about that faster than the top of the hour ad break. Don't forget Lauren Southern, too. You know, the woman who shot flares at the boat? Yeah, it's not an accident that his fandom were defending Lauren Southern, Nick Fuentes at the time, but they will turn around and, rewrite that, too, and be like, no, we were always actually very aggressively anti that. Or Sam Hyde, all these people. Just all the best people overall. Whoever Destiny wants to rehabilitate, his fan base will ride for. Whoever Destiny hates in that moment, his fan base will turn on and will literally be like, that's the worst person on the planet. Problem is, I've been the worst person on the planet for the past 5 years. So that's the major problem. That's it. Yeah. You got rent control in his brain? Oh my God, I know. Those dumbasses think we don't know there's logs of Destiny saying shit like genocide the Jews on Twitch. Yeah, it wasn't on Twitch. I think it was on DGG or the N-word. But it doesn't really matter because his fan base is insanely fucking racist for the memes, but also simultaneously incredibly progressive at the tip of a hat. They're like if fucking Kiwi Farms could actually operate with a little bit of decency and make themselves seem liberal. When it benefited them. You know what I mean? God, this election is so fucking boring. Yeah, see, talking with people doesn't equate supporting them, right? Unlike you supporting a terrorist, Destiny doesn't support their views. Like, dude, you are literally a 50-month subscriber, brother. Do you understand how fucking psychopathic that is, chatters? There are 50-month subscribers in here who are literally fucking fans. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. Like, that's awesome. That guy will turn around and be like, yeah, actually, I didn't used to be, but I am now because you've changed. Like, that's insane. Guys, you don't understand. We were having chicken and waffles, but we were also debating each other in good faith. Motherfucker gave me a $250. The New York Times needle is up. It's over. I know Decision Desk already called it. They called the top of the hour ad break. Trump heart strikes again. Bye bye, white girl. Nimarata. Primary over. I concede nothing. Says Brian the Scotty. Not a good look that he struggled with Haley. No. It's the struggle is not a real struggle. It's just for New Hampshire because New Hampshire is a weird state. There's a lot of independents. New Hampshire and Iowa are like weird in different directions. Like Donald Trump is coming in with a sweep after this. Nikki Haley had to win in this state. This was the only state where she was coming close. This is the only state where chat cooking you? What do you mean? 4.3? Did I get a 4.3 for the ad break? That's crazy. This was the only state where she was even coming close to striking distance of Donald Trump, and it still didn't matter. He still won. You did too? Oh, that's why. Well, I didn't run it last time though. I'm running it now. I forgot to run it last time. His chat became entirely tuned to your stream over his, and now he's watching Law. What do you mean? Are we talking about Donald Trump? I said this already. I think that CNN hyping up Nikki Haley is a bad idea. Why is it a bad idea? Because I think, and this is, by the way, this has nothing to do with anyone else's analysis on the matter. As a matter of fact, many people think that I'm wrong, right? But I think that if Donald Trump takes Nikki Haley and puts Nikki Haley or a female VP pick in general that's not like super kooky like Carrie Lake, he can posture as a person who is a little bit more moderate to at least some of the moderate Republican Party voters, especially on the issue of abortion, because he desperately needs that right now. Nothing signals that you care about women's bodily autonomy, I promise, but like I'm still going to fucking, I'm the guy who did the abortion ban thing, like having a woman on there. Okay? Some people are saying Stefanik. Some people have brought up Lee Zeldin as a consequence of Sebastian Gorka's take that he knows who it's going to be. It's going to be like someone from New York, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. Some people believe it's Kristi Noem. I think Nikki Haley signals that Trump is going with a moderate, especially after how much CNN and everybody else gassed her up. If he were to turn around and bring Slaley on board, I feel like all of these liberals that have been watching the media hype up Nikki Haley, I feel like they would be like, you know what, maybe I'll give Trump a second look.
We see it here in Antrim. We see it in Hillsborough. We talked about this one earlier. Again, she'd want to be in the 40s here. We talked about it in the city of Claremont. She'd want to be probably, mid 40s there. We're waiting, I think, more on Laconia. We still haven't got much more in. But again, this is one she'd want to be doing much better than a third. So the statistic we've been tracking here is it's so crucial to any story about the Republican Party, and really in the general election, too, is that college.
I personally think the unity ticket is RFK Jr., and I think that would be the best move. Okay? RFK Jr., unity ticket. You get literally you get the daddy vote. All the people that are like, RFK's hot. They're going to be like, I want a hot president. I thought Trump was hot already. Now he's gotten even hotter. Okay? I hate vaccinations. I think that people should die from Legionnaire's disease. Like, if that's the type of attitude you have, okay, RFK Jr. is the guy for you. I'm telling you, Trump RFK unity ticket, baby.
Corner. A lot of these are 8 o'clock poll closing times, and I just want to look here to see what we had. Now again, this is Haley did well. Again, she did well. She had 48%. We thought she needed to be in the low 50s. You notice a pattern in the good areas. She's not quite getting there, and in those smaller towns, in those rural places with lower median income, with lower college attainment rates, she's falling farther.
Dude, I can't even get myself to fake care about this. It's crazy. Like, I want to. It's just so irrelevant. If I'm an executive producer of one of these shows, I'm just straight up putting a microphone on every single person that's voting, because that's the only thing that's interesting. Like, the only thing that's interesting about this entire process is like the voters. Go talk to them and be like, why are you voting? I don't care about like the tabulation process. You know what I mean?
Glenn Peters, 0.
Like, this part sucks. This guy said vote DJT, but censored himself. Why do you think vote is censored in this chatter? It's not interesting. They're stupid and insane. No, voters are interesting because they're stupid and insane. So at least it's fucking content. Okay? I want to hear from the guy who's like, I'm not a part of the MAGA movement, but I think that Chris Sununu is like a pedophile vampire, and that's why he endorsed Nikki Haley. You know what I mean? I want to hear from the Donald Trump supporter that's like, Nikki Haley is my queen. That's the beauty of the American electorate. They're so stupid. It's a sea of contradictions, and that's what makes it awesome. I want to hear about the guys that are like voting for RFK Jr., especially. That's what I want to know. I think the real conservatives and Trump guys are coming back to the chat hoggers. Dude, that is so exciting. That is so incredibly exciting. Oh my God. They found the most, what's that fucking guy? They found the most Sean McElvey looking motherfucker, dude. This guy looks like such Oh my God, he looks like such a DC staffer. Holy shit, I'm losing my fucking mind. He's got the phenotype. Okay. You know how like More Perfect Union has a look? Like how you guys are making fun of me yesterday for looking like a DSA guy? Okay. This is the DNC version of that, right? Yeah, looking like Rin Tin Tin or Tintin, I guess, in English. This is the Beltway white dude working for like Lockheed Martin. I love this. I mean, no disrespect, but if you really, really are into election watching, and possibly like a former Liz Warren supporter, this is what you look like. There's no other way to look. Can't grow facial hair, circular glasses, craziest haircut of all time. This man was born to be an intern to like, Dean Phillips and had to quit. And now is looking to make his way in the Democratic Party.
We're here in New Hampshire ahead of the state's first in the nation primary, and we actually wanted to gauge New Hampshireites' thoughts about something that recently happened in a...
This man looks like Sean McElvee's Bitmoji. Yeah, he looks like Sean McElvee's Bitmoji if Sean McElvee was like trying to fucking catfish people. You know what I mean? Like made his own Bitmoji like way skinnier than he actually is.
Neighboring state to the north, that is Maine. The Secretary of State there ruled that Donald Trump cannot appear on the primary ballot because of the 14th Amendment, which bars those who have engaged in insurrection from holding office.
Are we judging appearances for no particular reason now? Who gives a fuck? He's a cool guy. What the fuck? Dude, we're joking, man. It's a joke. Like, I'm sure he's a wonderful dude. It's just for fun. It's for ha-has. You know what I mean? We didn't even say anything like bad. You're the one who gives a fuck, apparently. Are you him? Cavity Job, is this you? Is this... You can't insult people as a leftist? First of all, I do it all the fucking time.
According to a recent University of New Hampshire poll, 50% of New Hampshireites agree with the Maine Secretary of State's decision, while 42% oppose. Here's what New Hampshireites had to say. The Secretary of State of Maine recently decided to take Trump off of the ballot there. Do you agree or disagree with that decision?
It's all right with me.
Why? Why is that?
Because he's a criminal.
I think it's wrong.
I mean, it don't matter what I think. It's about what the state of Maine thinks. State of Maine say we don't want you here. You ain't going to be here.
I feel that it's the right thing to do.
I think that people should be able to elect whoever they want to. And that's simple. It's supposed to be by the people, for the people, right?
I believe with the 14th Amendment that he shouldn't be on the ballot. Having said that, I think it should be because he's been convicted of something. He hasn't had a trial yet. He hasn't been convicted.
I think I disagree with it.
Why is that?
Well, I think the voting populace should be able to make the decision for themselves.
I mean, I think it's sort of like a weird precedent to set. I don't think that solves the problem. You know, if people want to vote for Trump, I feel like that's going to happen, you know.
I mean, has he been charged with insurrection? No. So I don't think he should be off the ballot based on the 14th Amendment, which specifies insurrection.
According to that...
Technically, you don't need to be... I mean, I get where he's coming from. I said the same thing. You don't need to be convicted, though. He is charged. He's just not convicted. And that's, according to the way that the law works, it's enough. It just doesn't fucking matter. I think it's so... This is a issue that people get mad at me for stating, but one, I think it's fucking sick that criminals can literally run for president. I think they should be able to vote for president as well. I think felons should be able to vote. And I think felons should be able to run for president from prison. So like, I think that's one of the only cool things about the American Constitution. Having said that, however, The idea of like taking someone off the ballot specifically for crimes of insurrection, because it's like almost directly related to like election crimes, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess the asterisk would be, I wouldn't allow it for the duration of your time served, but after and before you're fine, maybe? I don't know. Because, like, it's directly an election crime. If you rob a bank, right? Yeah, you're not going to be able to get into a bank for a little bit because you'll be in prison. But once you're out of prison, you should still be able to, you know, use banks normally. And I feel like the same thing about the election crimes. Does that make sense? But also simultaneously, I think you should be able to, you know, you should be able to run from prison as well, regardless of what your crime is. Honestly, the idea of Trump off the ballot feels like a desperate attempt by Dems because they're too lazy to enact policy change and get votes for Biden in an authentic way. Admit it, you're just worried you won't have any content if Trump disappears. No. We've already had the Trump disappearance last year, and it was perfectly fine. It's this year that has been worse, I think, overall. And mostly because it's foreign policy. I personally don't give a shit all too much. What's with you and bank analogies every fucking time? I swear you bring up banks. Perfectly fine. You've bled out viewers, big dog. Brother, it is a ridiculous thing to fucking bring up when I have 50,000 subscribers. Like, I'm gonna be fine, dude. You know what I mean? Like, this is such a wild cope from people that are like, dude, you've fallen off, you washed. Like, why are you watching my live concurrent viewership harder than I am? I'm putting this on because, yeah, it's a D talking point. I love you. I'm a leftist love watcher. XOXO. Like, I still got 25K, man. Shit's pretty good, I think. It's good overall. There's 25K viewers in here. Everyone's viewers fell off since COVID. Yeah. I love how these haters come in to hate. It's only going to grow, baby. Yeah. The thing is, you know what I miss? I miss fucking Republican haters, dude. It's always, nowadays, all my haters do not come in here with like ideological differences, but instead to come and like cry about shit. You know what I mean? Like cry about like dumb shit. Or like say that I'm a terrorist, but in a liberal way. And I miss like the dumbass hogs so much. I miss the Republicans so much. It's not even a joke. It's making me want to go and like debate right-wingers a little bit because I just hate yelling at fucking liberals all the goddamn time. It sucks. You know what I mean? Because right-wingers are like also more fun. They're just like, they don't try to like mask their racism in some like smarmy intellectual way. They just come in and call me like a sand N-word instead of being like, it seems like whenever there's any kind of Muslim reactionary fundamentalism going on, you sure find yourself on their side, Hasan. It's like, dude, you're saying the same thing that like the right winger is saying, but you're saying it wokely. It's just way more. It's way more smarmy.
That same poll, though, when asked how well they understand the 14th Amendment, 35%.
Yeah, hogs also don't try to like disarm me by pretending to care about me too. Like, hey man, I really care about your content. Is everything all right?
Of New Hampshireites said they understand it very well, while 42% said they only understand it somewhat well.
I'm gonna go to
How well would you say you understand the 14th
I'm gonna go to
Amendment?
fucking Rumble.
I didn't even look at it. I don't look at the amendments. I don't believe in none of them.
Wait, you don't believe in the amendments, but you still think he should be taken off the ballot?
Yeah, because if you want to follow the Constitution like all these people say they do, then do what it says.
That guy's awesome.
I don't have like a super huge understanding of it. I just know like what's in the news and what's, what I've read.
Are you familiar with the 14th Amendment? And I don't ask this in like a mean way. I think probably.
Okay. This is like not that interesting. Let's hear this one. New Hampshire voters talk Trump immigration gas prices. This is actually interesting, right? I don't care about them getting kicked off the ballot.
We're here at the Goldenrod restaurant in Manchester, New Hampshire, ahead of the state's first in the nation primary.
I love this guy.
I'm speaking with supporters of Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Donald Trump about why they've chosen to support their candidates and what issues are most important to them. So just to start, could you tell me your name and who you're supporting?
My name is Thalia Flores, and I'm supporting Nikki Haley.
It'd be funny as if someone's restreaming your content on Kick. Dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like I want the right wingers, like not the fucking fake right wingers who are too pussy to say that they're right wing, but like claim that they're liberal. I want like the actual right wingers to say it. Here's Nikki Haley.
But to also know that the best way you appreciate your blessings is to give back.
That shit would be way more fun, you know?
To my siblings, to my in-laws, to everybody back at home, to Vicky for helping me take care of mom and dad. Thank you for that. You know, I will tell you, it feels like it's been a lifetime, but it has been almost a year that we've been campaigning in New Hampshire, touching every hand, answering every question, being the last person to leave. And we had the most amazing thing happen is the second that we got the endorsement from Governor Chris Sununu. I mean, a true governor that doesn't stand behind a podium. He shows up at a diner. He shows up at the brewery. He loves the people of New Hampshire. He has been with me every single day at every single event. Chris, I couldn't have done it without you. And I want to thank someone who was with me on day one. He's a patriot.
Day one.
He's a hardcore conservative. And he is my friend.
Why is she talking like she's a winner? Because she's like super close to Trump, even though Trump won. So like the closer she gets, the more she can push for. Look how close we got, I guess.
Congratulate Donald Trump on his victory tonight.
He
earned it. And I want to acknowledge that. Now, you've all heard the chatter among the political class. They're falling all over themselves, saying this race is over.
Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks the numbers are fake. Dude, I love how much like the elections are stolen narrative is so permanent in the Republican Party that they're just like hurting themselves in confusion now. Like every election is fake. Even if Trump wins, there's still fake, like fraudulent results here. Every election is fake because like Trump didn't win by the margins that she was supposed to. It's awesome.
And the next one is my sweet state of South Carolina. At one point in this campaign, there were 14 of us running, and we were at 2% in the polls. Well, I'm a fighter. And I'm scrappy. And now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump.
Trump is 30 points up on Haley in South Carolina. Dude, you want to hear the fucking maximum quote from Nikki Haley on that, by the way? She literally said every single member of the state legislature backed Trump over me because I was too tough of a governor because I cared more about the people. It's like, dude, the people elected the state legislature too. What are you talking about? Like, that's insane. Your own state is pro-Trump. This is some real, Woo, some real fucking Elizabeth Warren energy here too. Except she is charismatic. Why are they so excited about her? What does she offer them? It's like watching people go hysterical over the Super Bowl. No, it's way worse than the Super Bowl, brother. What are you talking about? Writing for a team that you've cared about your whole life, that gives you fulfillment and enjoyment, destroying your enemies, ritualistically humiliating them, the opposing team, historic rivalries. That is way sicker than giving a single shred of a fuck about Nikki Haley, okay? Are you kidding me? I perfectly understand why motherfuckers ride for, NFL teams and the like, especially when they make it to the goddamn Super Bowl. Nikki Haley fucking sucks. Her framework and her attitude and her legislative agenda is damn near identical to Trump. It's just aesthetically packaged in a way that's different, okay? It's just aesthetically packaged in a way that is more appealing to the more moderate Republicans. She is for the people that say, I like Trump, but I don't like the way he talks, okay? And the reality is a lot more people like Trump because of the way he talks than vice versa, okay? This is the reason why many of the Republican Party will still fall in line with Donald Trump at the end of the day. But she didn't try to overthrow the election in 2020. I mean, I think Trump's biggest problem with January 6th isn't necessarily that, he tried to do an insurrection and failed. I mean, that's a problem for some, for sure. Okay. But I think the biggest issue is that he doesn't shut the fuck up about it, or didn't shut the fuck up about it for so long. Now that he's not talking about how he didn't actually fucking lose the election, he doesn't constantly chirp about it as much, and is chirping about other shit that Republicans supposedly care about, like immigration or whatever the television man is telling them. He's still talking about it, but not to the same degree. He was coping way too hard. There was a point, I think you guys are forgetting, from January 6th till the midterms, okay? For the 2 years where Trump was both around and not really around because he was kind of isolated at Truth Social, he only talked about how the election was stolen from him. It was ridiculous. It's just it felt like the only thing he would fucking talk about was that. And that gets really boring after a while, especially if you're wait, what? It's not about chirping. The dude tried doing a coup, bro. She wouldn't. Brother, what are you talking about? 60. Guys, a very solid chunk of the Republican base of support thinks that the election was stolen. Okay? If you legitimately think that the election is stolen, it's perfectly valid for you to want to do something about it. Take matters into your own fucking hands. Okay? The idea that she wouldn't do a coup or she would do a coup, all of that stuff is so dumb. Nobody votes on those boundaries, dude. You vote on tax cuts and racism.
It's nothing. And we have Joe Biden in the White House making one bad decision after another. When he's making any decisions at all.
Yeah, I think the indictments were a fucking gift because now he can talk about political persecution by the deep state or whatever, instead of constantly chirping about how he didn't actually lose the election. That shit was boring. Republicans are fucking losers, okay? They are. They love reliving the glory days about a time when they used to be the prom king or whatever, you know what I mean? And they're couch potato fucking losers. And Trump does a really good job of tugging at their heartstrings and talking about a time when they were fucking legends and how the gay liberals stole that time away from them. But no matter how big of a fucking loser you are, there's a point where you go, okay, well, this guy seems like a bigger loser than me. He just won't shut the fuck up about how he lost the election. And I think that's what happened with Donald Trump. But then the political persecution narrative actually heated up once again with the many different indictments that came, many of which were valid, by the way. But that changed the conversation away from like, oh, the rear view mirror of like being attacked for, January 6th, which was an insurrection, but it wasn't an insurrection, and I didn't do anything, and it was a perfect phone call, and Joe Biden stole the election from me, to like, the Democrats are coming after me because, they're coming after you. I'm just standing in the way. I think now he talks more about like shit that, like, he's got new material.
Republican chaos. The other day, Donald Trump accused me of not providing security at the Capitol on January 6th.
Oh, she's saying
No, I've long called for mental competency tests for politicians over the age of 75. Trump claims he'd do better than me in one of those tests. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But if he thinks that, then he should have no problem standing on a debate stage with me.
I mean, that'd be sick. Oh my God, that would be sick. Actually, that would be kind of content. If Trump went up against Nikki Haley and then literally fucking ripped her, like called her like Indian Hillary Clinton, you know what I mean? Oh my God, dude. Nimrata. Folks, I'm not the one hiding. She's like Elizabeth Warren, folks, but on the other way. Also Indian. Just, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't be embarrassed, Nimrata. Just, God, I would make such a good Republican consultant. It's not even funny. It's like, everyone always says, Hasan, you're a grifter, but it's like, God damn, dude. If I wanted to grift, Tim Pool, step aside, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I wonder why you call her charismatic, and then she says shit like this, and I get it. Oh, Nicky? Nikki's a...
And guess what? In the
like
next 2 months,
Republican candidate. I mean,
Joe
she's like
Biden
an old school
isn't
Republican
going to
Party
get any younger
loyalist.
or any better. We'll have all the time we need to defeat Joe Biden. When we get to South Carolina, Donald Trump's going to have a harder time falsely attacking me. The great people of South Carolina know I cut their taxes. They know I signed the toughest illegal immigration bill in the country. They know we passed voter ID and tort reform and ethics reform. And they know we moved 35,000 people from welfare to work. Every time I've run for office in South Carolina, I've beaten the political establishment.
It's so funny. Everyone is like anti-establishment.
Surprise.
Totally. Nikki.
But South
Nikki
Carolina
Haley is who I think of when I think of
or
anti-establishment.
nation. They want an election.
Bro, that's like Fox News constantly chirping about mainstream media. It's like, bro, you are the most mainstream of mainstream media. You're the most popular news broadcaster. What the fuck are you guys talking about? These guys love LARPing as like revolutionary figures that are, very different than everybody else. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to think about how like that message is actually very popular in the right-wing circles.
Nikki Haley with an energized speech to her campaign headquarters in
Is to portray yourself as the underdog? No, I think the funniest thing is like Well, it's right-wing persecution complex for sure. They are constantly looking for victimization. Like, oh, dude, there's so many vectors where I'm victimized. That's a very normal right-wing attitude to have. I do think, however, that the anti-establishment narrative goes beyond that. The establishment or mainstream media is presented as like this liberal giant, right? This liberal giant. And everyone is fighting against it. And the Republican establishment, you're against the Republican establishment. And it's interesting that both Donald Trump and Nikki Haley are hitting that line because, one, Donald Trump was a fucking president. It doesn't get more establishment than that at that point. And Nikki Haley is like a old school institutionalist Republican Party person, right? And it's interesting because I feel like Democrats don't do that as much. Like, you don't hear Democrats, with the exception of like Bernie Sanders and the like, run the anti-establishment, the establishment fears me narrative. They are very pro-establishment. Democrats are like, no, I'm the most established.
Hampshire, saying that he sought to end this Republican primary today so that they could focus the party's resources around beating Joe Biden in November. Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Doug Burgum, all former rivals joined him on stage last night. And this was a moment that the campaign...
Hello, my freedom-loving patriots out there. Hey, if you end up seeing this video on your FYP, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to, first of all, give me a follow. I want you to drop a like, and then comment the state that you are from. I want to meet some of you guys, and I want to follow some of you guys. I hope to see you soon. Stop by my live if this live is flashing. God bless you. Have an amazing day.
Nice to see a fellow patriot. He does sound like Ares. I know you probably answered this before, but does the Dem Party know it's Jover? And if so, would there be any kind of campaigning happening now to try to get Nikki Haley ahead, even though it won't work for, I'm sure? No, I think the Democratic Party is sitting on its ass because they know they have the abortion button. And they're going to hit it
If you
hard.
want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
Bro, this fan cam is insane because there's like booty shots in this, by the way. It's like an insane fan cam. Oh, this is not the one I was thinking of. Never mind. The other Nikki Haley fan cam literally had booty shots in it. No, that's not even a joke. We watched it the other day.
The experience, and it shows.
And you know what?